Hello there, Talking Really fans. Welcome to this quick response to yesterday's appearance of a interview created by the BBC, interviewing the UN chairperson, Teresa, I believe her name is. She was responsible for bringing to the world the other day, which we also discussed in another episode of this series. But this is all about the unbroadcast interview that she made to the BBC. Now, apparently, the 20 seconds of it was used only, and the remaining, the whole recording is about 20 minutes long. However, 10 minutes of it is just background noise and chat. There was a very interesting little snippet that came up right at the beginning.
Can I ask one more question? Did you say last week it was a human catastrophe?
I did.
Right. What? Did you say that in public, or is that...
It's a public, it was a public announcement, yeah.
So what you were saying...
You can quote me, yeah.
Right. I mean, what way is it a human catastrophe? Just, you can elaborate?
Yeah, the austerity measures they have taken, and they were affecting 500,000 people. Each disabled person is losing between 2,000 and 3,000 pounds per year. People are pushed into work situations without being recognized as vulnerable, and the evidence we had in front of us was just overwhelming.
And then later on, sort of 10 minutes in, they start the interview, and this is where it gets very, very interesting, and I'm going to play a few snippets of it.
Wow, you had a huge interest in Britain, Channel 4 as well.
Channel 4 also wants an interview with us tonight.
Well, they cut the budgets back so far back in Britain that so it's becoming news. But it's not new news, it's been going on for years now.
No, but it's up for dialogue at our stage
Today's
now.
the UN report.
Yeah.
I think...
That's the difference, yeah, exactly.
It's a peg to hang a very important... So, and in fact, one of the things, because I follow the whole UN committee review process in different spheres quite a lot. You have asked the UK to come and report back in 12 months, which is quite an indication of concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we usually ask for a follow-up in 12 months on 2 issues out of, let's say, 30 issues we raise in the concluding observations. So, of course, we asked the UK to... Is it the follow-up on austerity measures, I
think so, yeah, and 57, there are other points. Okay, my first question then. How would you rate the UK's status at the moment? Improving, static, going backwards?
Well, we're afraid to say that UK is going backwards.
Sorry, can you say that again? I just had to sound a little bit too high at that point.
I'll ask you the question again.
We need to have it right, don't we?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Okay, sorry, take 2 on that. Along report, how would you rate the UK's position towards the rights of people with disabilities? Going forward, static, going backwards?
I'm afraid we have to say it's going backward, and that's why our concluding observations were very long. We were very concerned about the UK, which claims to be a world leader on the rights of disabilities and the right of persons with disabilities. And I think it's right. UK is is the country where the social model was founded, was developed by the disability movement, and disability rights were mostly developed. But now we see a policy of austerity, especially in response to the financial crisis of 2008-2009, which discriminates against disabled people by taking away benefits which were supposed to help disabled people to live an independent life and to live a life equal to others. And that's what the convention says. And even in times of financial crisis, the human rights law says you have to look at where you make the cuts. you have to protect those people who are most vulnerable. And the numbers in front of, which were posted in front of us by civil society, by disabled people's organization, were enormous. 500,000 people were taken out of benefit or had reduced their benefits, their social protection entitlements, in a way that they were becoming desperate. There were people who committed suicide because of that, and at the same time we heard, we had evidence in front of us saying that people were pushed into work who were not fit for work. And while, and I said it in the dialogue, it is right to assume that disabled people are capable of working. We are not, in our committee, we pay a lot of attention to the human rights model of disability, which says that disabled people should be seen as capable of doing things. And so it is okay to say, let's put disabled people into work, but at the same time you have to take into account the vulnerability of disabled people, especially if they have psychosocial disabilities or if they are intellectually disabled.
Okay, could I just, I'm going to ask you, because that was really excellent, but you kind of answered all my questions in one.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, because we can edit, but I might just ask you to address a couple of those issues like in separate answers. I think my first question would be, you're particularly concerned about what you call austerity measures. What are your main issues about how that might be affecting people with disabilities?
The main issue that people were not reported to us, that they were not able to hire personal assistants anymore, that they had to rely on family members or people who would help them voluntarily. And that puts you in a situation of dependency, and also people were not able to go out anymore as much as they could not participate in cultural and public life. And the other big field where the austerity measures feeds in or plays a big role is education. We had lots of evidence in front of us, especially about Northern Ireland, that the education for disabled persons became very bad, that many children with disabilities which have challenging behaviors are excluded from schools, and the parents are left without any support. And then of course there was a cut in what was called the Independent Living Fund, which was supposed to help people live independently, and it was not substituted by adequate social protection. So people were either becoming homeless, or people were either becoming desperate in a way that they had to seek mental health services, or what we found, of course, most terrible, the reports about suicides by disabled people because of the cuts.
They are using tactics which leave disabled people financially difficult and suicidal because they are taking away benefits. They claim on news in full view of everybody, including in Parliament, they claim to be spending 50 billion on disability related benefits, which is a complete lie. How she can stand there and talk complete lies is beyond me, and they actually believe what they're saying. So Mrs May, or whatever you want to call her, I'm going to call her Fiora from now on. So the Fiora basically denies that there's any problems with this country at all, yet the UN, I believe, found 70 different things wrong with the way that the disabled people are being treated in this country.
This is the longest list of conclusions and recommendations that this UN committee has ever issued to a particular country. What should that say to us about the United Kingdom and the rights of people with disabilities?
Well, it means that we've set the bar very high. I mean, it is a country which claims to be a world leader when it comes to disability rights, and right so, looking at the history of your country. But it's now going backward in a pace and to an amount that it worries us a lot, and it affects lots of areas of lives, and that's why the concluding observations which in the initial report, which this was, touches upon all the articles in the convention, so it touched upon all the areas of life. And the evidence in front of us was overwhelming.
How does the UK compare to other countries, or perhaps other countries with comparable GDP?
Well, as I said, the UK is a model country when it comes to disability rights in terms of anti-discrimination, equality models and so on. However, it is also the country where social protection was diminished to a certain extent, which became life-threatening to many disabled people. And so compared to other countries which have less economic power, austerity policy was less human rights oriented, whereas other countries which were also affected by financial crisis report to us that they did not cut any benefits for disabled persons. And so in that sense, UK appears to be a strong country when it comes to equal rights, but a very, very weak country with relation to economic, social and cultural rights.
And there is a culture of hate being generated, which will lead to physical and verbal attacks by the average person because they believe wrongly that the disabled are scroungers and should not really be here because they don't warrant life in this country or anywhere. They are scroungers, and essentially this is coming from the top. So the Tory government is manifesting this belief through their treatment of the minority groups within the country. Although, to be fair, I don't think 13 million disabled people in this country represent a minority, when it is around 20 to 25% of the country population has a disability of some sort.
On that issue, can I ask you how that might extrapolate to ordinary people and attitude? Because your report does contain concerns about stereotyping, bullying and discrimination.
We were very concerned about bullying of disabled kids in schools, and the evidence in front of us said nothing was really done about it. There needs to be a strategy against bullying in schools and protection of disabled kids, and we found that it is not taking place. We also were surprised, if not irritated, by reports about disabled people being portrayed as parasites, living on social benefits and welfare and the taxes of other people. And that is very, very dangerous when it comes to disabled people, as we all know. And I think even though we would never, as a human rights treaty body, favor censorship, we think that media and the government have some responsibility in this regard. They need to protect disabled people against this kind of attitude, which later on will lead to violence against disabled people. We know it, and if not to killings and euthanasia. So I am not saying that the UK is this is happening right now in the UK, but this is why governments have to stop this kind of attitude.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little update. Don't forget, like and share. Please don't forget to share and also subscribe to this Talking Really channel, because we are going to bring you these sort of things, these sort of subjects which are important to people in my situation. So spread the word. Thank you and goodbye.
To portray disabled people as a group, as parasites, is really dangerous.